This is a very important story around the oil markets, and there's been some major developments. So their White House policy here is all over the map. Let's go ahead and put this up there on the screen. The New York Times breaks a story exactly 4 days ago saying Joe Biden is going to Saudi Arabia. They are making plans. He's going to be meeting with MBS. Then Biden comes out and is like, actually, no, I'm not going to meet with, actually, no, I'm not going to Saudi Arabia yet. So officially now, Krystal, the White House position is, he's going to Saudi Arabia, but later. He was gonna go in June, but now he might go in July. So he's trying to save face because Biden obviously is trying to square this as, well, I'm not caving to MBS, even though I said they were a pariah state, even though I said what happened about Jamal Khashoggi was bad. But basically, the Saudis have us over a barrel. I mean, let's all be honest.
Over an oil barrel.
Yeah, over an oil barrel, which is that they are the only ones, along with the Venezuelans, who have the immediate capacity to flip a switch and immediately begin pumping more oil. They refuse to do so because the administration is not supplying them with what they term adequate security guarantee, even though we've sold them like $100 billion of weapons under the Biden administration. They want him to come over there and kiss MBS's ass. MBS, and Saudi officials making very clear that their overtures at the non-presidential level not welcome. They need the American president to supplicate himself before Saudi Arabia and its king, and that is very likely
and that's
appearing what is going to happen. Let's put this up there from the Financial Times, because this is just an excellent overview of the policy, which is that as candidate, President Biden vowed to treat the kingdom as a pariah amid the evidence that MBS and them were responsible for the murder of Jamal Khashoggi. He declassified U.S. intelligence at the beginning of his administration. But now it's very clear here, because of the choices that we all made on oil in terms of banning Russian refined product and oil exports to the rest of the West, we are forced into a situation where the leader of the free world, the president of the United States, has to go and supplicate himself before the crown prince of Saudi Arabia and beg him to pump more oil. And at this point, to be honest, Krystal, I don't think that it's even possible to save his ass in terms of the midterms or gas prices, because I've already pointed this out. Oil demand is already sky high, low inventory. At this point, even if the Saudis pump more, that will mean in the middle of the dog days of summer, the gas price may drop from like $6 to $5.45 a gallon or $5.15. Anybody going to give credit for Joe Biden dropping gas from $6 to $5.15? The time to try and solve this was at the beginning of the actual invasion. We had Ron Klain on the plane to Venezuela. We'll get to that in terms of what exactly that policy looks like. Nothing ended up happening. The Saudis completely rebuffed us. They're in action. They released, one time from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, did nothing. So they have no plan whatsoever in order to drop oil prices in the interim period. So now they're going to go over there. They're not only supplicate themselves, the Saudis are asking for even more security guarantees.
Right.
So almost certainly Biden's going to have to announce some fugazi, arms sale or whatever to the crown prince, stand there at the podium with MBS. And it's also just a great view into how all policy has trade-offs. We have all apparently decided, Europe and the Western world, that we're all going to pay $6 a gallon for gas for eternity in order to save the integrity of Eastern Ukraine. I mean, look, a lot of people said, oh yeah, support Ukraine, I'll pay higher gas price. Call me in 5 months. Call me in a year.
We've also decided that Saudi Arabia's massive human rights atrocities are somehow not as grave as Russia's.
Exactly.
Those are fine.
Right.
Just go, look at what they've done in Yemen and tell me that it's not at least as horrific.
What do you think they use the weapons we sell them for?
Exactly.
In order to kill Yemenis.
And there's actually a new report about just how incredibly complicit we are in what has been deemed the worst humanitarian catastrophe on the entire planet. The number of children who are starving and dying there, it is absolutely horrific. And yet somehow in our moral calculus, that we're going to be okay with, but Russian oil, we're not. I mean, and it's clear whenever Biden goes and does his, ass-kissing trip to MBS and tries to smooth the waters, the policy has already changed. And you can see that because there's been a shift in Riyadh here, OPEC did agree to accelerate oil production to help replace output lost to international sanctions. This is from that Financial Times piece. They also helped to extend a truce between Yemen's Saudi-backed government and Houthi rebels who are sort of aligned with Iran. They are looking for more defensive equipment, including Patriot anti-missile systems, new security guarantees, and assistance on a civilian nuclear program, all of which I have no doubt the Biden administration has already basically pledged to provide them. That's why there's been the shift in their policy. So again, look, ultimately there will be an ass-kissing visit, whether it is now or later down the road. But the reversal in policy from saying, hey, we're going to make Saudi Arabia a pariah state to my brother, my friend.
Yeah.
How can we help you? What can we do for you? That ship has sailed.
It's done. Yeah, the policy's set. The president's going now to Saudi Arabia. And let's put this next one up on the screen. Also, apparently this is the best they could get. They say that oil from sanctioned Venezuela will now be allowed per U.S. sanctions to at least help Europe replace Russian crude as soon as next month. So the U.S. is going to be removing some of the international sanctions on Venezuelan oil and allow them to ship oil from Venezuela to Europe, given how much of the world's stock has been depleted. But here's the problem, as I talked about previously. Venezuela's got that type of oil called extra heavy, or it's like extra heavy crude. So it's a specific type of refinery that can actually handle that type of crude oil. And there's just no way they'd be able to make up the difference. I'm not saying it isn't going to help. And look, I mean, it'll definitely bolster the Venezuelan regime and also some of the overall makeup. But this is my point. The strategic incoherence we were talking about in our previous block. Everyone apparently is like, it's fine. We're going to ban all Russian oil for all time, which is 10-something% of the entire world's oil. And also, it's going to dramatically change the second largest or third largest market on Earth and the way they get most of their oil, which is Europe. And that changes and causes all kinds of supply problems here in the United States and now makes us more reliant on Saudi oil than ever before. Yeah. So we've traded reliance from one despot to another. And apparently, this is a real trade-off.
In the name of human rights, okay.
In the name of human rights, in the name of democracy. We're standing up for democracy by sucking up
by partnering with Saudi.
By partnering with the most barbarous regime on the planet Earth. I mean, they still behead people in the streets over there. And, last time I checked, 15 of somebody's citizens crashed into the towers and into the Pentagon in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Yeah. Don't talk about that one anymore, apparently. This is the point, which is that what we've now saddled ourselves into is our energy policy is complete insanity. We now have the current oil companies here in the United States basically being told by Wall Street, you're not allowed to drill. So that's not happening. Then the administration is also caught between a rock and a hard place because they don't want to encourage drilling in the short term while not being able to offset the long term. Republicans are all in. They're like, no, we should drill entirely. And they don't want to also stop drilling in the long term. So our domestic political system is shot and our current energy production, done. We have no more refinery capacity. We have no more plans in order to build any more refineries. And so that means we have to look abroad. And by looking abroad, that causes real choices. And now, if you thought or had any hope that an Iran deal was going to happen under this administration, if you think that's going to happen, where the Saudis have the ability to turn off the spigot and suffer, and make us all suffer at $8, $9 or whatever a gallon, of course not. So this has major ramifications just on the optionality of the United States in the current market.
And, you might think that looking at all of this, there would be a lot of political will to say, let's shift from such dependence on fossil fuel so that in the medium to long term, we are never in this situation again. But of course, that's not happening either. So not only are we in a terrible short-term situation, but we're doing literally nothing to change the long-term prospects so that we don't have these, impossible no-win situations in the future. I mean, I appreciate what the administration is doing here with Venezuela, lifting some of the sanctions, allowing shipments of oil to Europe as soon as next month. Venezuela does have the largest oil deposits on the planet, but as you point out, there's the issue with refineries, there's the issue with just their oil production capability has declined over the years. So that's not going to be a complete fix. There also is a report the U.S. is expected to allow more oil to flow from Iran to Europe as well. according to, there was one well-positioned sort of industry insider who said that they expect that to happen as well. So that can help a little bit too. But ultimately, none of those things will fill the gap in terms of the loss of the Russian supply. And at the same time, China's coming out of lockdowns, right?
China's coming out of lockdown. By the way, that's not good for us.
It's not good in terms of gas prices, because then again, that was the one thing that, remember, there was oil prices had started to decline some. We thought, oh, maybe we'll catch a break here. But that was largely because of a decrease in demand from China.
Exactly right. Over. Shanghai is now completely out of lockdown. Beijing is basically coming out of lockdown. Gas today, right now, $4.86 a gallon across the country. That's up from $4.27 just a month ago. So just consider, I'm going to do the immediate math in my head. That's something like 15% in a single month. And it's just going to continue going higher and higher. It's the U.S. driving season. And look, $6 a gallon, very likely on average. California, I can't imagine. $6.34 a gallon, Krystal. And actually, if you think this isn't going to have midterm prospects, the New York Times has an article out this morning talking to working class Californians who are like, hey, what's happening here? Yeah. They're talking about not coming out to vote, period, for them. They're like, look, I'm not a Republican.
Can't afford
but
the
screw
gas
you.
To get to the poll place.
Exactly. How am I supposed to get to the polls? Because I'm paying $6.34 a gallon, as high as $7 a gallon in some places in the city of Los Angeles or in Palo Alto, Menlo Park, those types of areas. That's a destroyer in terms of the balance sheet for a lot of people.
Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.